Hey everyone, Nate the Nerdarch here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, and today I'm talking about GM tips and world building with me, and we're going to be discussing Thri-Kreen and a crazy chaos storm place on currently Griffin-Gaff. So with me I have...
I'm Ted.
Dave.
Alright, so...
enlighten us with these crazy, wild, chaos storm, Thri-Kreen tinkerers.
Yes. So, I was thinking about this page I would help with. What anyway? Okay. Alright, so we've got Thri-Kreen. And in Thri-Kreen, I feel like they're kind of monstrous in the Monsters Manual. Go figure. But they're a little too savage for what I would think is a PC race. And I wanted to have some kind of Kreen-like race. And in previous editions, especially Thri-Kreen of Athos, they had what's called a Tor-Kreen, which was kind of like the more civilized, scholarly type of Thri-Kreen. So it's kind of it was kind of like, you know, the savage tribemen compared to like the librarian. But they were actually, there was subtle physical differences due to that, I guess. And anyway, and make a long story short about the Thri-Kreen of Athos, I took the Tor-Kreen out, and I'm going to make them kind of like the PCable race in my section of Griffin-Gaff. And while Thri-Kreen are more of like the savage, chaos twisted version. So I'm going to say that there was a ancient civilization in my section of Griffin-Gaff, which is currently the center of this terrible chaos storm desert area. And we have, you know, we talked about the chaos storm previously and other Game Master tips.
So you have two versions. The versions that friends don't eat friends,
yeah,
and the version that friends do eat friends.
Yes, that are also kind of twisted. So, and I kind of want the origin story for Thri-Kreen in our campaign setting to be that they were originally this noble race of insectoid beings that had a vast civilization thousands of years ago, and now they are kind of, there's only like remnants because the outposts are what are called the claws, which are like the three-pronged fingers of the Thri-Kreen, are these giant towers, like skyscraper towers, made out of the crystal material that they can make their weapons out of, like geodesic domed all the way to the top. So there's these giant pillars that are called the claws of the nation, and most of them are still active, and they're...
Wait, did you say it was made out of Thri-Kreen spit?
Yeah.
Just checking.
You know, kind of just like how there's several other insects that build their houses by chewing up stuff and letting it, you know, solidify. So there's like some, you know, honeycomb aspect to it, but it's triangular rather than hexagonal. And these giant pillar towers.
Well, I'm just envisioning a skyscraper made out of spit. That's all.
Well, it's very uniform. I mean, you can cut people with it later, so, you know, it's very sturdy stuff. So that's the basis for that region, is that these outposts are kind of the only thing that are left. And they're I've also made them an integral part of actually holding the chaos storm from moving. But
so these towers, are they all like in a cluster together, or is it like the three-pronged fingers that are spread out over a...
each tower is like a claw. They call it a claw instead. And then there's like a circular outpost. It was like ringing the old Thri-Kreen nation, which is now obliterated and just like desert and ruins.
Okay, so there's 3 towers, but it's stretched out over...
there's many towers.
Oh, okay.
Like 9.
Okay.
But they're in threes?
But they're in 3s.
Okay, so
yeah.
section.
So a claw is like a 3. You can think about it as like a 3-towered building.
Okay, all right.
So a claw is basically their way of saying city.
Yeah.
Or home or
whatever.
You can,
yeah, but now there's a lot less people there. There's no Thri-Kreen there because I've made the Thri-Kreen like the twisted.
Okay, so there's not like a separate... Because when you first said it, I envisioned this separate civilization maybe on the decline of Thri-Kreen that are kind of like holding back the hordes and the chaos.
Well, that's why I want to make that distinction between the Tor-Kreen concept and the Thri-Kreen. I want the Thri-Kreen to stay like the Monsters Manual style, you know, without much change.
I mean, can you really just like use the variant and call them Tor-Kreen and use the other ones as just the crazy ones?
They're very similar because they have similar lineage. It's just one's kind of...
When you say like the chaos twisted, I think of from A Bug's Life, the demented crazy grasshopper that they keep on a leash.
Well, I mean, I would definitely prefer a Thri-Kreen on a leash far away from me rather than close by me.
I was the only one
Okay, so
envisioning that.
no, yeah, I actually didn't see that part of Bug's life, but so the Thri-Kreen.
Next on Nerdarchy, we'll sit here and show a Bug's life
We'll have a
to Nate.
Yes, Mystery Science Theater style. So the Thri-Kreen roam the desert waste of this chaos storm, and the Kreen, I'll just call them the Kreen in the tower. Still, there's very few of them. And they kind of are gatekeepers for keeping the chaos storm out. And the way they do that is they harvest Nothic eyes.
You always do really weird stuff.
They harvest Nothic eyes, which absorb magic and destroy magic. And they stick them in the towers, and they're kind of like the well, and I also have the psionics. This is where I base the psionics for.
You always want to cut things up. What's up with that?
What?
It's weird.
I like to use things that are, you need a dagger. Why not use something's claw? Yeah.
Saying
when you don't
weird.
Hey, the Nothics are obviously magical or magic-eating things, and their eyes are cool.
So you made the magic-eating things.
Don't they just zap you?
No.
Oh, it's the necrotic damage.
No, their gaze attack is actually it makes your flesh rot. It decomposes. They're drawn to magical things because they're some kind of weird cursed race.
Yeah. I made it more of like damaging and also have this other ability. So
your Nothics are like the rust monsters of magic.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
That's a good approximation.
We'll
So yeah,
rust
monsters of rust monsters of magic as well.
I'm just trying to help you flush it out, delve in there a little bit, and call your names a little bit. Because you like to do creepy things with dead things.
So these Nothic eyes help absorb some of the chaos magic, and through different ritual, like psionic ritual and things, they prevent it from spreading.
I think it's kind of weird to have them holding it back with psionics, but using, harvesting Nothic eyes to do it. Like, because psionics to me is very component less, or at least if they're using components, they're not organic in my mind. It's
I look at it, if it's chaos magic, they're psionic. They're not going to be able to fight magic with psionics.
Why not?
So,
I'm not against that part.
No,
I just think they would do it. Like, all right, go ahead, finish it, and I'll tell you.
They just happen to be the ones doing it. Yeah. It could have been a sect of mages that had figured this out with the Nothic eyes, but it just happens to be that I made the Thri-Kreen race psionic in general, and that's kind of like continuing the thing.
So I get the magic versus magic, and it happens to be psionics, psionicists, however you want to terminology.
Mind magic.
Using it to do that. So I definitely see those two sides butting heads, but I want to touch on the Nothic eyes.
Okay.
I don't know how you have this laid out, but if they're harvesting and using that basically, I envision that means these eyes absorb the chaos magic, and eventually they can't absorb anymore, they can't affect anymore, and they need to go get more.
Yes, this is the problem.
So
that some of my adventurers are trying to figure out right now.
So I'm seeing it as, okay, well, once the eye is used up, it essentially that it needs to be something. And
Ted's figured it out. They've got hung up on me dissecting Nothics.
so
like some kind of humanitarian.
So either
chaos batteries.
It's like a chaos battery or a chaos bomb of some sort, and the Kreen have to then not only go get new eyes, but then deal with whatever this has become. So there could be some kind of stockpile of
nuclear waste and chaos waste
that they're storing and protecting so that nothing else gets to it while they're still fighting the other side of it. So that's just my.
This is a case that if I explain it, I've done too much work at as a DM, so I've never explained it to the players. But since we're all discussing it here to kind of see the inner workings, this is a lot more work than just like what I would do for a regular session. Like, I'm not going to ever explain to my players, so I have to only vaguely figure this out. But since I didn't just vaguely figure it out, I'll let you know. Okay, so what's the situation is the claw that they come to they started a terrible goblin thing. So the goblins are coming down the mountain, and it's an army, but they're not moving fast because it's an army coming down to the mountains. So they're trying to gain existence. There happens to be a claw not too far away from their little city town of Stationton. So they're going to go help get the guys with weird, crazy powers to help them.
So help me out here a little bit, right? So they've decided to go to this claw. Mm-hmm. So they know there's Thri-Kreen there.
They know. Well, there's only like one Thri-Kreen in that tower. There's only one Kreen in that tower.
Okay.
He happens to be the guy that runs the tower, but you know.
Okay, so there's one Kreen in that tower. They know he's there.
Well, they met him, yeah, so they know.
Okay, so was that before or after Thri-Kreen tried to eat them?
Oh, that was after. No, they met him before the Thri-Kreen tried to eat them.
Okay.
But
that makes more sense then.
The half-elven ranger learned from the elven ranger that visited the town that there's rumor that there's a Thri-Kreen in the tower, and he basically explained the whole don't get eaten.
Because half of you is really yummy.
Half of you will smell delicious. Yeah, so, and another thing with the civilized...
And the other half will only smell good.
I'm getting, yeah, with the Kreen that live in the tower, which I call Tor-Kreen, they actually get together every year, and it's kind of like a...
Is it like the Dark Crystal thing? They're like...
Well, they all come together. No, it's not like the Dark Crystal thing, but they all come together for a meet.
It'd been really cool.
And during the meet, they have a symbolic hunt where they hunt Elf of the Woods, which is actually a mushroom called Chicken of the Woods. But I think it's really funny because it's chicken, elf, chicken. So they hunt a symbolic thing that's not people, and they make that as kind of like part of their ritual feast. And it tastes very similar, just like Chicken of the Woods, a mushroom, tastes very similar to chicken. Elf of the Woods, they say, happens to taste a lot like elf.
So wait a minute, they go into the woods and get mushrooms that taste like elves?
Yes.
Just checking. Were they really like sprite houses or something?
Huh?
They're like sprite houses or pixie houses?
You are evicted.
Oh my god, it tastes just like elves.
That's why it tastes like elves. It's got little sprites living in it.
It's part of their aroma.
One little their magic sprite has as much flavor as a full elf.
So all their magic must radiate in flavor into the mushroom, and then when they take their house and eat it.
Oh no, it's still got sprites inside. The Kreen just don't know.
So okay, so here's my thing, right?
I didn't even get to the chaos orbs yet.
We'll get back to that. Here's my thing. Like, when I see arcane, like, that's when I really see people, using, cutting up monsters and animals and stuff and using their anatomy. Like, that kind of, like, it's in the trope that goes there. But when you go to psionics, I think more of, like, attuning crystals and stuff and, like, kind of like New Age hippie stuff. Maybe some herbs a little bit.
Well, I have made the Nothics more like crystals. It is like a bowling ball eye. It's not like a gooey.
Well, yeah. So I was going to come back to that because like you had told me before that when your players killed the Nothic, the eye came rolling out and it was more like a crystal. Mm-hmm. So that breed of Nothics, why not just completely make them kind of different, where they are kind of like they're made of kind of like organic crystal.
Yeah, they look kind of rockish.
And I've done that as well in our area of
reskinning your monsters.
I reskinned a lot of monsters, and I did use a lot of crystalline, or like organic crystalline type monsters. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that does work. I mean, but like I think the more organic it is, in my opinion, is the less it feels like psionics.
Oh yeah, the more you're like hacking on bits off things and making flesh golems or something.
But maybe if these Nothics are actually some kind of byproduct of this chaos storm, and maybe they're not even like the other Nothics. Maybe they're a separate race. Maybe they just look similar and have similar abilities. Mm-hmm. But they're very much close between like almost like crystalline chaos earth elementals. That just kind of look
they label them as Nothics because that's what they
look like.
That's what they look like. So
it could be completely different, and they do have like those, like I want to say organic crystal, but like that could be a whole thing.
Living crystal,
like a shard
mind. Yeah, so they're like terrible twisted shard mindy things with eyeballs.
Well, maybe that could actually be part of the lore. If you made shard mines, that on Nerdarchy.com is a Sonic race.
Go check it out.
Shameless plug of ourselves on our own channel. Oh my god, these guys are ridiculous. No, but like, so shard mines are going to be somewhere in your area. I can only imagine because you took the time to make them.
Yeah.
So there could be a shared history between this version of a Nothic and the shard mines. And the reason why it can work and it makes a lot of sense is because the Nothics are basically a cursed race of arcane spellcasters. Well, what if these Nothics are actually the same thing, but it happened to these sonic creatures that happen to be living constructs made of crystal?
Yeah, I like that.
For whatever reason, maybe they delved into things they shouldn't have. Maybe they tried to become more organic, and they partially succeeded, but it drove them mad as a race, and they don't. And like the other Nothics, they don't know why, but they're drawn to these certain phenomena, and they could share some traits. It could be like the same curse, but on like a much different species, which would, kind of have a different result.
That's a good point. I like that.
See, I don't just break balls. Sometimes I try and
sometimes you help build things up.
Yeah, it's like I can tear it down later, but
So the way I currently have the Nothic guys, which are more like crystal bowling balls, is that they absorb chaos magic, and then through rituals that the psionics developed, trance meditations, whatever you want to call them, they harmlessly release the chaos magic, basically like form it and shape it, and then send it out.
What do you guys think of this idea, right? You guys all know what the Nothic looks like in the monster manual. Yeah. So the eye's made out of crystal. But maybe, maybe they had that weird frog flesh, but maybe at certain points, like the veins kind of rise to the surface and then come out. And the veins are actually like more of the crystalline material. And as they come out, they like encase like the flesh wherever it's at. Like it might look like they have, crystalline gauntlets. Well, yeah, kind of like that, but it's like part of them. Maybe patches of it where it's in certain places it almost looks like kind of like crystalline armor. But
so a partial exoskeleton, partial like really thick talon, kind of from that.
And it would probably, since like we're talking chaos magic, no two probably look the same. One may completely have the gauntlets. And that might be the only thing on them.
One might have back spines.
Yeah,
like an aberrant feel too.
Yes.
So the things that could be done with that, number one, it could have some kind of value for psionic or magical research, but it could also have some kind of stigma where it's like, I don't know, it's kind of is it cursed? Is it a disease? So like some people almost just don't want to touch it.
Right. And their ability is already a magic ability, so you could easily just make it a psionic ability. I mean, we're just calling it psionics. I mean, it doesn't really matter for what it does or whatever, but... And like, that's the only form of that they can access anymore from being, a psionic being, essentially. As shard mines, I think they probably had other abilities and stuff, or ones that were actually psionicists, I mean. But they don't have access to that anymore. So really, all they have is the weird insight and the rotting gaze, and you could easily just turn those into psionic abilities. Now, whether you believe it as necrotic damage or psychic damage, I don't even think it matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it would only matter for someone's resistance, basically.
Right. Both of them are extremely rare resistances anyway.
Yeah.
But as far as flavor, and when you look at these, like just the towns themselves could be crystal with these spines, or you see how they have that frog malted type flesh. Well, what if the malting is actually just crystal pushed
patches
out of the skin? And it's just a cosmetic effect. It doesn't change anything to have to do with either stats or the mechanics. It's
but by having that difference, it brings more of our world into what this creature is, or brings this creature more into our world, so that things are flavored in such a way that, all right, this is until we name the campaign setting, this is Gryffindor,
right? It's the Gryffindor campaign setting. It's going to stick.
Probably will.
Despite Nerdarch Ryan.
Well, this is the time I'll actually agree with Ryan. I think we need to have a broader name.
Yeah, I know. Plus, there are no griffins in the Griffin Gaff.
It's a little joke there. So we got kind of derailed, but
Thri-Kreen, right?
yeah, Thri-Kreen.
Not
so the monster Thri-Kreen out of the monsters manual. That's what you find in the Chaos Waste and the ancient cities and the leftover ruins.
I feel like there should be a variant, like on the Chaos Thri-Kreen. I don't know what you would do, but I just feel like because they're mutated by the Chaos. Maybe.
I mean, yeah.
If they're more wild, more savage.
I think we could come up with something.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty savage as is in the book. If you're they're hungry and you don't offer anything else beneficial to them, they'll eat you.
Well, yeah, but so maybe not savage, but crazed is like kind of what I'm thinking. Like if they've been morphed by chaos, what does that mean? So like there could be the ones straight up. So like we could have 3 variations of Thri-Kreen in our world, and the chaos one has a region has a specific type where. It's a variation on the variation.
So you could have the Tor-Kreen, the Thri-Kreen, and the Chaos-Kreen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to stop the ability of us to have Thri-Kreen around the world because similar to.
Well, we're not talking about it. Like a third variation is just regional.
Within it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to have your scholars, the Tor-Kreen, that are more psionic. Then you're going to have just the wild, regular Thri-Kreen that, they're not that bad. They just like to eat people. And then you have the crazy Chaos-Kreen, which they're the ones that will kill you. They just kill you.
There was a crazy kind of chaos thing it was like a Zilk or something like that. It was almost like a space Kreen that was kind of fiendish.
I know exactly. The red guys with 4 arms?
Yeah, they weren't Thri-Kreen, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I could see kind of repurposing that kind of concept of them to stick it on.
They're not in here.
I don't think Zill made it.
That is from previous editions, 3rd.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're in 2nd or not. But yeah, that would be something to research and model. Just to change it up and make them a little bit different.
I'll have to go.
And they're more powerful than Thri-Kreen, so I would just bump them out probably in this and make them a little more silly.
I'll go find Zill and I'll skin it up.
One of the things with the crystals, eyes.
I don't know about you. I was waiting for Ted to actually just get up and walk off the video and start looking for it.
Let me come back to you. I've got to go consult the library. One of the things with the orbs, the Nothic eyes, is that after a while, for whatever reason, probably due to the stress of chaos magic going through them and being absorbed into them, they break and crack. And at that point,
they need new ones.
So this tower was down to...
And now they have chaos toxic waste.
Now, yeah, they were down to 1 right now. So there is a place where they store these other ones. But they don't absorb anymore, so they don't have to worry about them being overloaded. But they're kind of like an X factor, like what's going to actually happen with them.
I would kind of like it if they didn't break, but they got full, and they're like these depleted rods of plutonium that you got to do something with it because you can't just leave it around.
Throw it into the sea.
Like the only thing it's really good for now is making things of mass destruction, but that in itself is its own problem because the Tor-Kreen came up with this great solution, but it was definitely not green.
It was definitely not a green solution.
No. I look at it as it definitely if these things absorb the chaos energy, and there's no safe way to get rid of them, I definitely see that as something as a plot point for anyone who wants to keep the chaos going, or use them as like, okay, well, look at this. I'm gonna throw this over here, have it break, and release all these chaos effects, and you could have each one. For lack of a better word, just roll on the wild magic table under sorcerer of like.
Funny thing you should mention that.
It's just like, all right, boom, here's
chaos bombs.
I planned on the one that's pretty much full is going to become full while the adventurers are off doing their thing, and then if they ask for it, they can have it. And what we'll do, I'm going to allow it to. You can augment your magic spells with meta magic, but every spell point that you'd spend. You kind of spend it for free, but you get an extra point to roll on do you make a wild surge? So you make a wild surge d20 roll, and then if you spend 3 meta magic points, well, it's 3 out of 20 kind of chance to do it.
Now it's a 1 or 4.
Yeah, so it's a 1. Yeah, so it basically becomes like a 20% chance that you're gonna have some wild mage effect. I don't know if that's too powerful. Perhaps they're gonna have to spend spell points as well.
What you do, you make it a magic item that has charges.
Okay, and
Like
every
the
time
other-
you spend a charge.
and every day they recharge, right? And depending on how you do it, you could even do it where if you use all the charges, like they'll replenish the next day because again, it's plutonium and it doesn't stop being plutonium.
Yeah.
But there's that chance, and you then roll the d20 the next day after they deplete it. If you roll a 1, it releases all that stored energy right there.
All right, here's how I would do it. So I know, combining a couple things here. All right, it's got 3 charges of essentially stored med magic points. Anytime you use it, you roll you use a charge to do any of the meta magic effects that you want, which is powerful. But then you roll a d20 for every charge that has been used. You add that to the 1 that you normally get when you roll in the sorcerer table, or when you roll for a wild magic table, and if you roll that number or under, the thing blows up and creates the wild magic result. Done.
I mean, that would make it so that it doesn't have a lot
But
of
it feels
lasting
really
power.
mild though. For I've been absorbing chaos magic for however long.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to. I was considering having you just roll in the wild mage table, not roll to see if it happens, but actually do a wild surge every time you use it.
I like that less.
Okay.
Yeah, I like there being a mechanic where it doesn't happen, but I also like. I like the idea that possibly with each time, every time you use it, there's more of a chance of you surging, and I like the idea of rechargeable being charges that recharge. But if you use them all, there's the nuclear option.
So what if I gave it like 5 charges, so that max you could do like
you
fifth
can
level,
absolutely do
like a twin spell or something.
Every day it gets back a die 4+1.
Yeah, so you do that. You got 5 charges on it. Every time, for every charge, you roll a d20. So if it's used for every charge that's been used, or for every charge you're going to use at a time. So if you're using 1, but you've already used 3, well then you're rolling more to see if you wild surge. So you like get closer to using it, or just do like a d20 every time you use it.
Well, I mean, you could roll. I would say roll once, but you set. Like if you want it to wild surge more often, it doesn't have to be at a 1. You could say, all right, every time you use this thing, it's going to surge on a 1 through 4.
Okay, so I could just up the wild surge.
Yeah, because it's chaos.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could absolutely do a 1 through 4, 1 through 5, and it the chance doesn't change at all. It's just more of a chance every time they use it.
Yeah, that would just be less clunky.
So
to do it just a flat.
Yeah, so say there's 5 charges. It starts with 5 charges every day. You roll d4+1 up to the maximum of 5. If they use all, I kind of really like the idea.
You just really want it to blow up,
like a staff. Well, here's why. If you use a staff or a wand and it's out of charges and you roll a 1, like it either disintegrates, becomes normal, or whatever. But the idea that this is going to become normal doesn't make sense either.
So
the energy's got to go somewhere.
So in other words, if you use all 5 charges today, or you use the last charge, you roll a d20. In addition to whatever,
you can make it unstable, basically completely unstable if you use all the charges.
Yeah. So then you roll a d20. If you roll a 1, it blows up, and it goes nuclear.
I use this meta magic ability, and then I throw it as my bonus action.
Yeah.
Just in case.
So, it would be the dawn of the next day when it would normally recharge. What I would do is I would roll the charges, and okay, so you rolled a 4, so that's 5. So it gets 5 charges back, but you rolled a 1, so it blows up. Everything in a 20-foot radius maybe takes 10 die, or 5 die 10 of chaos damage, or whatever you want to make it, psychic. Or
it's got to be at
force.
It's got to be at the moment you use the last charge, because that's more somatic to the.
Well, okay, you could do that as well, and roll to see how many charges, or unless you just want to make it a stagnant, number 5. And in addition to that, roll on the wild surge table.
Things happen.
So you could literally take 5 die 10 or 5 die 12 damage, and drop a fireball centered on you.
See, the Staff of Frost, if you expend the last charge, roll a d20. On a 1, the staff turns to water and is destroyed. So That's what I would say as your mechanic. You know, if you use the last charge on this roll of d20 on a roll of a 1, something god awful bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the players who
it breaks, it does bad things.
You know, the players who figure that aspect of it out, either simply with an identify spell or, you know, however you want to figure it out. No,
it's chaos magic.
No, you know, like.
Yeah, I've been nerfing the identify spell. I feel like it's just better.
You know, so they can say, okay, well, if it's got 5 charges, I can use 4 and leave 1, and I just can not blow up the entire party. You know,
that would be a lot of fun to do, like 5 die 12 plus a random roll.
Yeah, I think that would pretty much kill people. Several of them would die.
It's
well,
like
I mean, get dropped.
It's like 5%.
Yeah, 5% chance.
They're 4th level now. They don't even have one yet. So, you know, by the time they get one, 5, 6th level.
Yeah.
And
so they'll be 5th level for the fight. So I want to be able to let I mean, it's a good point that maybe they should stick around once they get too full.
Well, it becomes another problem to solve too.
Yeah,
and you know, the fun always happens in these games when there's problems to solve.
So they've got to store these down in the basement, basically, of this tower. Yeah. And so they say, "Oh, thanks for bringing those 3. Yeah, we'll help you out with the war, and here's a present.
Like,
do with it what you will. It's magic." And they're like, got tongs. They're like, "Why are you handing that to me with tongs?" No reason.
they're in the hazmat suit.
Yeah, I'm just a germaphobe. Here, take this.
I don't want
take
to
it far away.
I don't want to be tempted by your flesh.
Yeah.
You smell so tasty.
So one of the aspects I played up about the Tor-Kreen is that the insectoid mindset. So it's like, imagine being in an area with a 7 and 8 foot tall thing that you're not really sure what it's going to do. It's not like I'm a horse and I'm going to kick you or bite you. Like, you kind of like can get that sense from other mammals, but this was just like he leans into you and you kind of like do a little, just in case he actually decides to lean in and bite you. You know, like kind of like that. You just don't know when he's looking at you. He doesn't blink. He doesn't wink. He doesn't have any facial structure to smile or anything like that.
They don't breathe. Like, I mean, they do, but it's not like a mammal where you see the lungs.
Yeah, so there's this insectoid stillness to it. Like the alien stillness and the alien mannerism. And he doesn't try and fit in to try and like learn how to communicate, because he really can't. So he's not really understandable that easy either. So it's just kind of this overall, you're in a room with a giant bug and
he's got telepathy, man.
And you kind of get the feel he doesn't have telepathy.
He's not a Tor-Kreen?
Huh?
Tor-Kreen. The psionic ones have telepathy, 60 feet. That's what the book says.
Check that out. But anyway, this is a Tor-Kreen, not a Thri-Kreen. So,
yeah.
So he's basically in a room with you, and you feel uneasy because you've got basically something that is an apex predator, and you can't tell what it's going to do.
You're looking at it, you just see a reflection in its mirror-like eyes.
Yeah, it looks at you, and then it
with those bug eyes,
startingly looking around, and it just like I up the creep factor for them with that kind of. Did they get it?
Yeah, a psionic Thri-Kreen has telepathy out to a range of 60 feet and gains the following.
Well, he didn't take the feat as his player character, so he doesn't get their telepathy power. He actually gets.
I think that's actually.
He has to do it the hard way.
I think it's actually creepier though if they like talk in their
into your brain,
but it's still even
just
the pattern. Like the pattern, maybe it's images. Like you can describe it however you want.
Yeah,
but I think that could be far more alien and creepy.
And if it didn't speak, if it didn't know how to speak very well from the perspective of a different mindset and race, it'd probably communicate in the same way that regular Thri-Kreen do.
Yeah,
which it would be more with images and other things. You know, like that kind of mentality of.
I personally think that allowing a telepathy could actually make it more alien. You know, as long as you make it, yeah, you can actually portray some of those same difficulties they're already having.
Yeah,
but now it's in images in their minds and words in their minds, and maybe sometimes those images and words are kind of disturbing. Like he looks at the elf in the party.
Oh yeah, so I had him on edge the whole time. The half elf was all like, "Is this the eatery?" Like he's taking us down a hall to a door. I am the last one in. It was just very interesting.
The buffet.
Yeah, the buffet. Here we have our cafeteria. Please lay down. I mean, sit where you'd like.
So did these guys try and keep the Chaos-Kreen in the Chaos race?
Yes. They're kind of like an outpost guard, like warder of those areas. What they do is
we need something better than the Chaos race because that already exists in Warhammer.
No.
Whatever. We'll play the name game later about what it actually is. It's a rift in space and time. You know, oh well wait. Hasn't that been done like 50 billion times? So the places. So yeah, we'll find some name to call it. But it's a desert area with ruins, and there's a storm going on that's highly magical. Forever. And it's being kept from moving. This is like one of the only chaos storms that's been kept from moving because they slowly migrate, right? So this one's been on the same spot for a long time. So anyway, the outposts are keeping them in, the Thri-Kreen in, the Nothics in, and other terrible things in there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of all the kind of weird, creepy things that could be just wandering around in that desert.
Yeah. Another twist I put on it is that they're telling the player characters to go. Thankfully, there's no psionics in the player characters group. But they're telling player characters to grow because this particular storm causes disruption of psionic abilities, which is another thing that drove the Thri-Kreen crazy in the actual wastes.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't shut down their abilities, but it does some kind of psychic harm to psionically inclined creatures.
Like drives them mad.
Yeah, which is why the Thri-Kreen in there are totally bonkers, and which is why none of the people in the tower who all to be psionicists type classes deal with which is why they don't hunt Nothics in there. They stop them from leaving the ring, but they don't actively go in to harvest them. So they have to actually get, scout groups, ranger groups, and other people.
I can only imagine
stuff.
If the players go into the chaos region and they run into Thri-Kreen who haven't been able to get out. And they're like, oh my god, I've been eating all this weird stuff forever. Well, now there's a juicy half-elf.
Like, oh.
Like, they've been eating mutated purple worms and mutated chickens. And, even though they're bonkers and crazy and they eat it anyway, because they're like the reavers of our world, right? But even there, like, they know the difference between a steak and sirloin.
Yeah.
Like rotted sirloin. They've been eating rotted sirloin. And then all of a sudden, steak comes walking through.
So there's a lot to be had from that as an adventuring thing. So I'm gonna go mine that for a long time.
Nice.
And the idea with the plutonium rods in the basement, the plutonium spheres in the basement is another thing because maybe they'll have to discover how to actually get rid of them.
So are we gonna get Chaos-Kreen now?
Sure, why not?
Chaos-Kreen. So from this discussion, we got Chaos-Kreen, regular Kreen, Tor-Kreen. I mean, some of the stuff a lot of the stuff you already had. We have depleted uranium rods.
Chaos.
What else? We got like a kind of a little bit of a different take on the Nothic, and why their body parts interact with psionics, and I think visually, it looks way cool. That idea.
Oh, absolutely.
They got these crazy weird organic crystals growing off them. So I think that's some good stuff.
I think so as well.
So too.
For now, so hey guys, take. I don't even know what I was going to say. In the comments, if you guys have something to add to the discussion, please do. We love to hear your thoughts on it, how you feel about it, and while you're at it, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
You can check us out on nerdarchy.com.
You can also join us on our Patreon and help support us to make videos and cool content that we do already.
Yes, so we can buy more cool equipment like the lights.
Yes.
So until next time, my friends,
stay nerdy.